When you look into a body of water, what do you see? Is it the waves rippling towards the shoreline? Is it the bed at the bottom, housing fish and other living creatures? Do you see tiny molecules putting each drop together into one concentrated mass? Or is it the vapor rising from the water into the air? You might listen to what others around you are saying, maybe redirecting your attention to these areas and focusing on those for moments at a time. Or you might be in complete solitude, focusing on a number of different things in silence that your imagination takes you to. The dream bardo is the state of consciousness between falling asleep and waking, traditionally associated with Tibetan monks and conventionally practicing transcendental Buddhists. In today's contemporary world, technology and society have brought people into an era where many things are more conveniently accessed. This includes age-old practices of meditation. In a globalized world, it is important to critically analyze the average understanding of contemporary dream yoga and how external stimulants might be used to accelerate through these practices. The main question I pose: is convenience replacing experience? Today, we will explore just this idea, beginning with the development of an understanding of the 6 yogas of Naropa, specifically the dream bardo, and finally developing a critical lens that examines contemporary transcendental practices in dreaming. The word bardo is a Tibetan concept describing a present experience, bar meaning in between, like a flowing river belonging to no shore, and do is like a tower or an island in that no man's land. There are 6 states of the intermediate or bardo, as referred to in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. O nobly born, listen with full attention without being distracted. There are 6 states of bardo, namely the natural state of bardo while in the womb, the bardo of the dream state, the bardo of ecstatic equilibrium while in deep meditation, the bardo of the moment of death, the bardo of reality, the bardo of the inverse process of samsaric existence. These are the 6. The 6 yogas of Naropa are Tibetan Buddhist tantric meditation practices which were structured by the Indian mystic Naropa, a favored disciple of Tilopa between 1016 to 1100 Common Era. Marpa, the disciple of Naropa, translated the 6 yogas of Naropa into text, which was later referred to as the 6 intermediate states by Nyingma. Each bardo is independent but has some connection with the others. According to Chogyam Trungpa, in his book Transcending Madness, the 6 realms happen constantly, as we are changing from one extreme to another, and going through them, and while that experience takes place in meditation practice. Many examples lie throughout Buddhist history which tells of those who experienced enlightenment through meditation while in the realm of dreaming, also known as Milam, the Dalai Lama being one of them. Trungpa explains that the bardo is pure consciousness rather than a solid situation. It almost could be called unconsciousness rather than even consciousness. Each meditative stage is a tool to accelerate the path to nirvana. One learns to experience a pure state of consciousness, or rather spatial consciousness, via meditation. A good example of developing the essence of dream yoga is the dialogue between the monk Trungpa Rinpoche and his disciple in Transcending Madness. The student asks, "If confusion persists, do you just let it persist? Don't you try to clear it out?" Trungpa responds, "You do not try to change the force, or try to change the course of the river." Sleeping and meditation is important to distinguish here. Trungpa explains that everything is put into practice in an instinctive way, rather than by applying intellectual or emotional frustrations as a way of getting or possessing something. Experiencing ambiguity and confusion in dreams creates a critical lens that can be used to view ignorant consciousness and further meditate in dream yoga to full awakening. In Sleeping, Dreaming, and Dying, Francisco Varela says, "Within Buddhism, there are precise and elaborate discussions of the nature of the mind. For example, distinctions are made between a mind that knows its object and one that does not know its object. This develops more insight to understand how dream yoga is applied, not in an objective way, but in a more observed way. The confusion is a source of experiencing the question and an exploratory process to get to the answer, an in-between state. Once one develops an understanding of the intermediate through the dream bardo, one realizes how occurrence is impermanent and intermediate itself, as everything is relative, always changing, and nothing stays the same for one moment." Dream yoga is also referred to as the yardstick of the path. One first comes to realize no distinction between everyday life and dreaming. Next, one recognizes the state of dreaming while dreaming, also referred to as lucid dreaming. Then, different spiritual exercises are practiced during dreaming, including practice of the illusory body. Finally, dream yoga transforms into the next state, awakening. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, dream bardo is explained in the verse, "O now when the dream bardo is dawning in one's mind, abandoning the inordinate corpse-like sleeping of the sleep of stupidity, may the mind undistracted remain in its natural state. In understanding the actual nature of dreams, practice in the clear light of miraculous transformation, acting not like brutes in slothfulness. May the blending of sleep and actual waking experience be of value." The Yogacara doctrine theorizes external things are non-existent. Only the things of the mind exist, nothing outside. The progressive Yogacara school emphasizes primarily the existence of consciousness. Trungpa describes meditation as a constant act of freedom in the sense of being without expectation, without a particular goal, aim, and object. But as you practice meditation, as you go along with the technique, you begin to discover your present state of being. One can point to the example of a tree falling in a vast forest. If no one is there to witness the tree fall, it does not exist. Varela explains that the clear light is called the foundation, or literally the foundation of all, because it is the foundation of both the cycle of existence and of liberation, of samsara and nirvana. The path of liberation is found through hearing, reflecting, and seeing in the dream bardo, releasing one from dukkha. In this case, ignorance through confusion of conscious realms. In distinguishing reality from the non-real while in the dream bardo, and reflecting in this process, one eventually ends samsara and thus reaches nirvana. An enlightened journey, Tuku Thanda, examines the purpose of yoga in each bardo, valuing the process to learn how you will be traveling through the bardo to your future lives, and especially how you can turn those lives into everlasting joy and wisdom for yourself and for others. Thus, through dream yoga, one is better able to develop a continuing union with the healthy and wholesome of the consciousness, eventually reaching a more enlightened awakening. Thondup later states that if one perfects intrinsic awareness, true nature of the mind, the union of total openness, the ultimate sphere, and wisdom with its intrinsic lights, even in this very lifetime you will become a Buddha, and there will be no need to go through these successive bardos. This leaves room for everyday people to interpret the use of dream yoga in their everyday life, not just attributing the navigation of this bardo to monastic and traditional Buddhist practitioners. In Western perspective, we can look at dream yoga as an understanding of metaphysical properties. Anatman is the no-self theory explaining that things are relative, always changing and moving. All things are diluted as all things are intrinsically affecting one another but not actually existing as